This is KGW News at Sunrise.
For the third time this week, Portland police are involved in a shooting, this time killing a man in Southeast. We'll have the latest on the most recent shooting, plus a look back at two others earlier this week. Also coming up,
renters are far less likely to have access.
We dug into the numbers and found there's a lot of disparity between households who have AC and those who don't. But those numbers are on the rise. We'll take a closer look coming up.
And we are live this morning along the Portland waterfront, the site of the annual Oregon Brewers Festival. Year number 33 kicks off today. It runs through Saturday. I have before me, gang, the tap list for this year's Oregon Brewers Festival.
Oh, wow.
Dozens of beers and ciders available for this weekend's event. We are just getting started. I have beat the Brewers to the festival, but we have a whole lineup of fantastic local brewers coming on with us this morning to talk about the return of this event, which has taken the last 2 years off. So more in the Oregon Brewers Festival coming up in about 15 minutes.
that is exciting stuff. Looking forward to it, Drew. Thank you. And happy Friday Eve, everyone. I thought he was going to use that menu for a fan.
Woo, yeah.
It's getting toasty.
That beer
again.
stays cold.
Chuckling because he said, we're just getting started. Now, if you're at a Brewers Festival and you say, I'm just getting started,
Yeah.
that typically means
It's early
you're, yeah, all right. Let's go. Oh, almost dropped my clicker. Here we go. Maybe I'm just getting started. The headlines continue to be the same. The excessive heat warning up for Portland, Salem, Vancouver, out through the gorge, parts of eastern, central Oregon, the Columbia Basin, all these darker colors through Saturday, meaning we're still looking at possible 100-degree temperatures through that time frame. The air quality advisory for the Willamette Valley up through Cowlitz County still in play, but so far the air quality numbers have been okay. No concerns there, but we're still watching that. So here's your planner. 68 right now, another sunny day, 84 at noon. We'll be hitting 90 between 1:30 and 2. That's the same as yesterday. And we may or may not get there. Yesterday, it looks like the official number, I just talked to the National Weather Service, there were some rounding issues, is going to be 96 out at the airport. We'll see how close we get to 100 today. Back to you.
Rob, thank you. Our top story at 5, we're bringing you the latest information about a fatal shooting involving police in Southeast Portland. Officers tell us just after 8 o'clock last night, police responded to 126th and Burnside in the Hazelwood neighborhood. Overnight, officers confirmed a man was firing a gun into the air and say dispatch could hear the shots in the background when witnesses called 911. Officers requested help from the focused intervention team and say at some point an officer from FIT shot and killed the suspect. Details about what led up to the shooting are still unclear. We don't know the name of the victim or the officer involved. Now, this is the third shooting this week involving Portland police. The first happened Sunday morning. Police shot and killed a man on Southeast Clinton while responding to a domestic violence call. The second happened early Tuesday morning when police shot at a suspect who got away from the scene in St. John's. So far, there have been a total of 5 shootings involving Portland police this year.
$3.8 million. That is how much the city of Tigard has agreed to pay to the family of a man shot by Tigard police last year. As Catherine Cook reports, the death of Jacob McDuff and the many questions raised by his family have sparked policy changes.
We came to the conclusion that this killing wasn't justified, and we believe the terms of the settlement bear that out.
Attorney Scott Levin is pleased with the $3.8 million settlement his client, Maria McDuff, is getting from the city of Tigard. Her son, 26-year-old Jacob McDuff, was shot and killed by Tigard police on January 6, 2021. Officers were called to his apartment for a domestic disturbance. Loved ones say he was having a psychotic episode, part of ongoing mental health struggles. Investigators say McDuff locked himself inside his truck as half a dozen officers surrounded it. About an hour and a half later, this happened. Listen as an officer fires less lethal beanbag rounds at the windshield.
There was actually confusion among the officers about how this got initiated in the first place.
Just seconds later, a different officer fired real gunshots into the truck, hitting and killing McDuff.
He apparently assumed this was Jacob's shooting because he immediately began shooting Jacob.
These findings were part of a forensic reconstruction of events McDuff's attorneys commissioned. They used evidence released after the Oregon Attorney General's office and a grand jury found no evidence of criminal wrongdoing by the officers. Initial police reports suggested McDuff had reached for a knife while in his truck, but attorneys for the family say physical evidence did not support that, and they had other concerns.
We never got an explanation for the impatience of these officers. And because this case was indefensible, it settled. And hopefully, the city of Tigard will take this opportunity to learn from this tragic mistake.
As part of the settlement, the city of Tigard agreed to an independent audit of the officers' conduct, which will be made public. Also, the Tigard Police Department is making several policy changes, including implementing body cameras and increasing police training. A statement from Tigard Police Chief Kathy McAlpine read in part, "First and foremost, to the McDuff family, I want to personally acknowledge that your son's life was lost." She went on to say, "This police department is committed to learning and growing from our experiences. We did our own thorough review of this case and have made several updates to policies, procedures, and training as a result." The McDuff's attorney says all of it matters to Jacob's mother.
She feels that she made a difference in pursuing this matter on behalf of Jacob, and so she's pleased with that aspect of it. It will never bring her son back.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Here are some of the other headlines we're tracking this morning. After a 7-hour standoff, negotiators managed to talk an armed man off a rooftop in southwest Portland. This happened at the Sylvan Heights condos on Barnes Road. Washington County deputies were trying to arrest the man on an outstanding warrant yesterday afternoon when they learned he was also wanted for robbery, domestic violence, and assault in Salem. Deputies say the man, identified as 36-year-old Eric Lane, was uncooperative. They say he climbed up onto the roof with a gun and threatened to kill himself. This started around 4:30 yesterday afternoon and it ended just before midnight. Rescue crews pulled a man's body out of the Sandy River at Oxbow Park yesterday. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office says it received several reports of someone floating face down in the river. Deputies and Gresham firefighters brought the man to shore. Paramedics, though, couldn't revive him. No word yet on the man's name or anything about the circumstances surrounding his death. We'll update you, of course, here on air and online as we learn more. And a Tualatin man is accused of stealing a minivan yesterday with a 9-month-old boy inside. The child is safe this morning, and the man, identified as 24-year-old Marcus Paul, is under arrest facing kidnapping charges. Tualatin police say the baby's father left the child in the minivan with the engine running while he went into a business. That's when Paul allegedly jumped in and took off, eventually stopping in Oregon City to leave the baby by the side of the road. Someone passing by found the child and called police. Thankfully, the little boy wasn't hurt. And those are some of your morning headlines.
Well, we are in the middle of our heat wave, the hottest temps we've seen all summer. So it got us wondering how many people actually have air conditioning. In 2011, 41% of all homes in Portland were air conditioned by either central air or window units. By 2015, that number jumped to 69%. Then, as of 2019, the most recent data, 78% of homes have AC. So why the dramatic increase? Well, for one, it's actually literally gotten hotter over the years. Another factor could be all the newcomers. Real estate agents say home buyers coming from out of town often ask if a property has AC, which is the norm just about everywhere else. But there is disparity. Census data suggests white and Asian households are more likely to have air conditioning than black households. It also shows renters are far less likely to have AC than homeowners.
So owners are more likely to invest into central AC. That's something that increased their home equity, whereas for renters, that's going to be a sunk cost. So they're very limited sometimes in what they can put in.
Though 8 in 10 homes in Portland sounds like a lot with AC, that does still leave about 200,000 households without it. Last summer's record heat wave killed more than 70 people in Multnomah County. The vast majority of them did not have AC.
Yeah, that's no joke. I spent one summer 29 years ago with a cranky newborn, and I said, we have got to get AC. But, you know, people were aghast. They were like, why? You only need it 1 or 2 days a year. And things have certainly changed in those decades.
So I think, and now I'm just going back to my memory. I want to say last summer we set the record having 90, and I think we blew the record away in Portland, 90 days last year, hit 80 or better. Which I think that blew the record away.
90 days?
So it had 3 months basically of 80-degree weather.
Oh.
So, you know, for decades, there was a lot of 70s in the summer here. But look at last year's record. I mean, when you're 80 or above, you want AC, right?
Absolutely.
You just do. All right, let's get you going to our Uquinna camera in Newport. So a couple things we're watching. Number one, the coast continues to see a mix of fog banks and will eventually see a mix of some sunshine at times. This is what we've been having. 54 and foggy in Newport right now. Temps at the beach have generally been about 64 to 70 on average. We'll look for the same pattern today. And then here's Futurecast. What I want to show you today, this is 5 p.m. See a few little green specks north of Bend, south of Bend, outside of Burns. We'll start to get into a spotty, obviously that's spotty, shower/thunderstorm chance later today across parts of the southern Oregon Cascades up into central Oregon. And then the same thing fires up tomorrow at 6:30. So just you folks near the Cascades and off to the east and the southern kind of half of our state. Maybe you get some thunder boomers building a little bit later today. Here are the numbers. Right now we're all dry, and except for the fog at the coast, we're mainly clear outside. 66 in Salem. You may have noticed some haze in the air, especially out in southeastern Oregon. We are getting some smoke from fires coming up from California. Not a lot, but a touch of it. And then let me add to that there are no large fires, and this is great news. I mean, we're getting into the last few days of July, right? There are no large fires currently burning in Oregon or Washington, so that's terrific news here locally. 100 degrees in Salem today, Corvallis 96, McMinnville 97. The excessive heat warning still up through Saturday. It looks like, I just talked with the Weather Service, the official high for yesterday out of PDX is going to be 96. Everybody stopped shy of 100 yesterday. I think Salem, it was 98 or 99 at McNary Field yesterday, but you could hit 100 today. Vancouver could do it today. Out in the gorge, the Dalles was 107 yesterday, today 112. The hot spot in the state was you folks in Hermiston. You hit 108 yesterday. We'll still go near 100 through Saturday and then cooling down the first part of next week. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Drew Carney's out having fun this morning. He is live at the Oregon Brew Fest. Drew, I have to ask you a question. Do you have any Budweiser on that menu that you were showing us earlier?
Goodness gracious.
Not an Oregon
Is it rude if I just ignore that question?
Yes.
My goodness. Rod,
Yes.
I'm going to go right past that question and remind you and our viewing audience that you are bearing witness to the first cracking of the can this morning. And it's not a Budweiser, my friend. It's an Oregon craft brew from Coin Toss Brewing out of Oregon City. Tim Hull, founder of the brewery, pouring for us this morning. He's going to talk about the beer that he's bringing to the party. It's called Black Hole. It's a black IPA. We'll talk about a dark beer on a bright sunny day coming up next here on Sunrise.
Can't wait. Thank you, Drew. Hey, we're getting ready for the KGW school supply drive. It kicks off on Monday, and we need your help. Last year, we were able to collect school supplies for more than 15,000 students, and this year, we want to up that number and help even more. We can't do it without people like the folks, though, at Ant Farm Cafe over in Sandy. We're giving them a big shout out and a big thank you this morning because they signed up to be a collection site. Your business can do it too. Just go to kgw.com/school and we'll send you a kit so you can collect supplies for school districts in your area.